Hello everyone, my name is Dan Basse, President of Ag Resource Company and an organizer for cereals conferences around the world. I'm joined by Noel Fryer, our organizer partner in terms of Europe, with the Fryer Report from Europe. Noel, as we think about the EU grain market today, the oversupply, the French farmer, the looking at stocks that are going to be a 17-year high, what is going to happen in terms of old crop? And then we'll talk a little bit about new crop opportunities with where the wheat crop is today.
In flat price terms on old crop, whether it be wheat or corn, there looks to be little to keep it up. We're at contract lows on wheat and on corn. On the corn, we went from wondering how the hell we were going to come to terms with a 17 million ton drop in the crop, to now wondering what the hell we're going to do with it. We got a March NOV carry in the Matif corn futures of 22 euros, which is, is just absolutely unheard of, which tells you that there is just no demand for corn nearby. We have French stocks which are going to hit a 17-year high, I think it is, at 6 million tons on the wheat. We have EU stocks which, in my view, are also going to increase significantly because the export demand is at least 3 million tons below what the USDA has been saying all year. The barley is already being hit by the removal of the Chinese demand. It's an overall negative picture for flat price going into the end of the season. And coming on the back of that, you've got the farmers who are completely undersold in terms of the grain that they still have on the farm, heading into a crop or a harvest which today looks at least as good as last year in the EU and in Russia. Ukraine less so, but the major producers are going to look like they could produce very close to last year's number, and they're going into the market, into the new crop with higher stocks. So between now and the end of the season, I have great difficulty seeing any reason for any sustained or significant rally in prices.
No, I think that's right, and I could be wrong, but it wasn't French wheat plantings at a record this year, and we have 94% of the crop, good to excellent. I mean, so far, the crop is looking good heading into the greening period.
If you take new crop acreage across the EU with an increase of around 1.5%, and you take trend yield, then you're going to come up with a crop of 153 million tons all wheat, which is only slightly down on last year. And as we are looking at it today, there is no reason not to beat trend yield. We were over it last year, we were over it the year before. There is no reason today, looking at how the crops have come out of the winter, for us not to repeat last year's yield.
And you got the world's biggest wheat importer, Egypt, of course, GASC, who are having financial difficulties, who are, of course, having difficulties with phytosanitary ergot fungus. And so, putting this all together, it's just hard to get very optimistic unless...
I think you're absolutely right. We tend to focus on the supply side, how big are the crops, how big are the stocks, etc. We give less attention to the demand side. This year has been a very good indicator that we need to give much more attention to it. You look at EU export certificates, down 13%, I think, on all wheat, 15% on the soft wheat on last year. You look at the US sales and exports, way down. The demand has sunk significantly. And again, it's hard to see what is going to change that next year, because you're still going to have the strong dollar, you're still going to have all the payment problems, you're still going to have all the geopolitical problems, particularly in the Middle East. I think it's difficult to find a scenario where you can paint an optimistic picture for prices over the next 12 months.
Outside of weather.
Outside of weather.
Outside of weather. My name is Dan Basse, President of Ag Resource Company and Cereals Conferences. Noel, thank you for joining us here today.
Pleasure.
We look forward to seeing all of you at April 7th and 8th at the President Wilson Hotel, Geneva, Switzerland.